the story, this is the juiciest part of all these segments. This is the part that expands into everything else. Segment 1, I spoke about how we came here, where we started, what was the key parts to building this story, which was the grief, the ascension and the undoing of everything. Then I tried to describe in segment 2 the place that I've ended up in, the way that we see our existence from a fully zoomed out point of view, perceiving our reality as this oneness and just mind and a construct of the thoughts and imaginations and beliefs that I hold to be true. Combining it with the understanding of energetics and the field around us. And then joining it with the 3D, this physical being of who we are and how we're existing right now as I'm speaking to you. And this part is the story. This is the story that creates all of those beliefs and the way that I speak, because without the beliefs, how would I be able to speak about any of it? You see, beliefs are the key to it all. It is the ideas or those thoughts that we hold in our mind that create the reality around us. But without a story behind a belief, nothing will hold it into place. We can simplify the way that a belief looks or what it can look like. There is a story or an experience or something behind it that holds this idea in place. It is matched with an emotion which has a correlating feeling within the body. That's what allows us to tell the difference within our beliefs, within our emotions, is the way that it feels within us. Because we could just think of a word, say a word, read a word, and it's going to have no meaning to us if we don't have a physical response to it, if we don't have a story behind it. So when we look at those beliefs that we are holding, it is the experience and the story that is holding it in place, as well as the way that we're feeling. And because we are these physical 3D beings, it's mostly about that feeling and the thought. And because we are these 3D beings, this is how we experience pretty much everything, is through our thought and our body. And then when you get to understand the energetics, you add in that layer of it as well, and the way that you feel things energetically within and around you. So when we look at beliefs, and you hear people speak about this all the time, this is like everything I speak about, none of it is brand new information. When we seek this journey, and like I described in the first segment of moving through and understanding more of who I am, it was basically looking at those beliefs, which now I can see is where I was looking for the experiences and the ideas that I was holding as true. It was more of how was it making me feel. If I had a belief that it's scary to go outside after 10 p.m., because if I'm holding on to that, that is giving me a feeling of being frightened, scared, worrying that something's going to happen to me. That's based on that physical feeling. So whilst I might be believing that I am scared to go outside after 10 p.m., it's only because of this feeling that I believe that thought is attached to. Now, another layer of that could be if I had an experience where something had happened to me after 10 p.m. in the dark or whatever, that would then compound that thought or belief. That would make that feeling even bigger and feel worse. So then that belief is really strong within my being. So if I decided I want to go out after 10 p.m., I would need to look at that belief, but I would also need to know and see and feel how it was feeling in this body. Where am I feeling it? How am I feeling it? What is it attached to? What is it related to? How can I release it? How can I move through it? How can I see it? How can I accept it? And it's that journey that then alleviates these feelings that we don't like, to remove this uncomfortableness, to allow more of that stuff that we do want to feel. So it's in that search or drive towards something that we go, oh, I really want to feel good about this. I really want to experience this. I really want to have this. But sometimes you can't feel it. Think of it like you have this jar and it's full, and there's no room for you to start feeling this really good feeling because it's so full of all this ugly feeling of being scared of not going out after 10 p.m. So you need to get rid of that so you can get this one back in. And if you look at it like that, of that whole healing process of removing those things that, well, let's be real, the benefit of you being scared of going out after 10 p.m., it has no benefit to you. Like, it's not doing anything for you. So we can get rid of it. We don't need to hold on to it. It's not going to do anything for us. So if we can start seeing those things that we are holding, because when we're feeling it in our body, it's taking up all that energetic space. When we see it as we can release this, oh, look, there's more room for all this good stuff. So that's why when we start on this journey, we start looking at those beliefs. We start looking at the way that we're feeling, because as we start opening our eyes more to the things that we actually want, we will start to begin this drive towards those things, which is where these beliefs and these ideas start rearing their heads. It's, I want to do this new thing. I want to create this new thing. I want to be a new person. I want to try something new. I want to have this physical thing in my life. Here comes these thoughts and beliefs telling you it's not possible, giving you the reasons why that there's no reason that this can happen. So it's in that search, that seek and destroy mission, for us to dive into those beliefs in order to allow those things that we are driving towards to happen. And this is pretty much how life exists once you start on this journey, because then it's just a constant moving forward, seeing what's coming up, moving through it, keep moving forward. Which ultimately, if you take away all the kerfuff of everything else, that's all there is. And that's my main principle anyway, is driving towards those things you want, which allow those things to come in that are stopping you, and you can see them, hold them, move them, release them, and continue on. That's it. That's the meaning of life and the journey that we do. But the beliefs, the foundation of it all. And whilst I'm talking about it in a sense of how they're hindering us, because we're trying to seek them out and let them go if we can, or absorb them, or whatever it is, whatever your process is, the other side of that is we can create our own new beliefs, the ones that we want, the ones that we want to feel, the ones that maybe we don't even know how to feel. One of the main things that happens with those beliefs is that they're mostly not brand new old beliefs that are hindering you. They are ones that have been around for a while. They're ones that you can very easily hold in place, especially if you've had a lot of experience with certain beliefs, where your belief has literally manifested and created all these experiences within this 3D being, so it solidifies the way that you were feeling. But when you're trying to aim for something new, when you're trying to move through something new, you don't know what that feels like. It's easy for, and we use money as a very good basis because it's so easy to talk about and everyone can relate. If you want to try and manifest $10,000 and all those money beliefs come up that why you can't, if you wanted to manifest $10,000 today and you've never done that, how do you know what that feels like? It's so much easier to go back to, oh, remember that time I tried to manifest $10,000 and it didn't happen? Oh yeah, that felt crap. Okay, let's remember that, recall on that. Let's build that up. Oh, let's feel that more in my body. Let's make that a bigger feeling. Versus, oh, I want to experience receiving $10,000 today. Okay, that feels like good, because we're going to presume it feels good. So it's a lot harder for us to move into these new beliefs if we don't know what it feels like. And one of the key components of my book is actually where we use our imagination to create those things that we want. Because let's think about it. If you want to, you could create a million different scenarios of how $10,000 came to you. You can create the most far out creative stories ever to bring that in as something that you could feel within your body. And that's why we find it so hard to change and to move out of those beliefs, because if we already have this precedent, we already have this locked in feeling within our body, it's so much easier to recall on it than it is to create something new. So the best way to sort of get into these new beliefs is to start creating these whole new fantasy ideas, these big made up scenarios within your mind of how you bring all this new stuff in. Think of it like really fun daydreaming. We've all daydreamed. We've all had that point in our life where we sit there going, imagine I walked out the street and someone just walked up to me and went, here's a bag of money. I don't want it anymore. You have it. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And you can sit in that, you can feel in that. And there's, you can daydream about anything, about any topic in any way you want. You can change it up every day. But sitting in that is then what's going to create more of that feeling that you actually want, even though you don't know what it will feel like because you have no memory to recall it on. You can create that feeling that you want it to feel. And this is why you will hear lots of people talk about gratitude and doing meditation is to clear the mind from those past beliefs or those past feelings that you are having in the body, and using gratitude, which everyone can do at any time, to start creating that new feeling within your body. And they're very simple and easy techniques that anyone can do, but they're good sort of foundations for you to build on if you don't know how to create a new thought or how to create a daydream or an illusionary, fictitious story that comes to life. It's by seeking in those experiences where you have had that joy or have had something that did make you feel good, so you can tie in your new beliefs or those things you want to bring into your reality to how that feels within your body. And it's that process of doing that which allows you then to change those beliefs. The more you start moving into the ones that you want, is how we do that whole healing. And that's how we just continue to expand and grow. Now, that is very simplified and easy way for me to talk about our beliefs and how we see them and how to move through them. Then we're going to get to the next layer, which is collective beliefs. It can be all well and good where I am sitting here saying, okay, work on yourself, find your beliefs, move towards the things you want, look at the things that come up, try and find these new imaginary experiences to change the feeling within your body. We can do that. I can sit here and do that all day. But then we have this thing called this reality around us that we exist in. And, we can look at it 3 different layers. From way out perspective, we can look at it as this is our own experience and it's being reflected to me as this oneness and I'm the only reality. Or we can look at it at a 3D or an energetic level and see that even though I'm out here in my 3D reality believing this thing around my life, and then everyone else around you is like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen, or you're crazy. We're still part of those collective beliefs because not everyone is like me or you who's questioning those beliefs or trying to bring new things and trying to change something or do something different. The majority of people aren't doing that. So energetically, whilst we may be holding our own field into this, oh, I want to feel into this and I want to feel into that, and this feels good and that feels good, everyone else around us is like, yeah, no, life sucks. This is not good. And I'll give you a very simple example of this. Imagine Like you think back to when you were younger and all we were taught is you go to school, you study, then you go to university, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids, you retire, you spend your money, and then you die. That's what we were taught. No one told us, oh, go follow your passions and go and try and work for yourself and go do the things that light you up. So whilst the majority of us were taught that old way of being, that belief within us, around us, with all the other 3D beings and the energies in our field of this earth, is still holding that as a truth. And whilst, yes, our reality will be reflected on where our thoughts are, and as we change, the experience around us will change. But it can be deterring when you are creating this new belief or feeling into this new feeling and no one else is feeling it with you. And maybe you're doing something that you believe in that is something different or something good or a new way to do something, and you try to do it and no one's responding to it the way that you would, the way that you think they should, because they're all still believing something else. They're still all looking at it in a different way. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls or downfalls that happens with people when they do start going on this journey and they do start trying to make changes, is that it's not being reflected immediately in their 3D environment around them. So then they start questioning that. They start thinking that that is wrong because no one else is believing it. No one else is doing it. And that's when people stop. That's when people sort of falter. And that's why there's more and more people like me speaking about these things and teaching modalities and offering support in these areas to help people who are trying to move towards those things that they really want to create or they really want to put into existence, because they know that this is what happens. It's very easy for us to go, oh, okay, well, I tried this. It's not working. I'm going to slip back to what everyone else is doing. Problem is, though, you get to a stage where it's just not going to feel good anymore. And you know that you have to show up and you have to express only in the way that is authentic to you. And I know for myself, that's a place I'm in. Even if no one's watching or reading my stuff, I know I can't say something that everyone else is saying. Of course I could, but I know it won't align with my beliefs. It won't feel good within my body. It won't portray who I am. It will have no benefit other than probably making me feel uncomfortable. Instead, I know that I have to speak from my own authenticity to allow me to continue to move through my new beliefs and the things that I want to create, but also in the hope to show other people the possibilities in it, to give them the drive and allow them to find their own empowerment to do that for themselves as well. Because things don't change until someone tries to change them. And all it takes is one person to try and do something different. One other person's going to attach to that. Another person, another person, another person. Think of anything that's ever gone viral. One person created something, and at some point, one and then many others all agreed, found it hilarious, thought it was cool, wanted to dive in, wanted to attach to it. It became viral, but it had to take that one person to do it first. So that's what we're doing in the collective. We are doing these things for ourselves from that truth and authenticity of who we are, in the hope that our expression is not just for you to jump on board with whatever we're saying or whatever our thought is, but to empower you to do that for yourself as well. Because collective beliefs are strong, let me tell you, especially when you're operating in social media and there's such a strong hold on the way that people perceive reflections and responses and what is deemed as success. It's a very hard place to start cracking it open and allowing people to see it in different light. But because of my understanding and viewpoint and the way that I see my existence, the more and more I believe and know that the environment around me will match my thoughts, will start to lift or start to turn more. That is more of what I will see. But we have to move towards that and express that in order for that to happen. We can't just go at once and say one thing, nah, no one will believe me. I'm just going to go back and do this thing I've always done because that's what everyone else is doing. That's not where your growth is. That's not where change is. That is not you being you. That is you being a puppet. Just sitting in the depths of not the truth of who you are. So know that even when you do have those ideas or those beliefs or those things that you want to see or those things that you want to change or things that you want to create, that the collective already has a big hold on it, but it's up to you to make that change. What if it was you that is that instigator in that? What if it's you that starts a change in that area that you're looking in? What if you are the pioneer of it? And I'm going to tell you it's easy because it's not. But if you're here, you're probably like me, where you know this is an area that you know you can thrive in. It's something that you just need to see someone else do it to give you that strength to do it yourself. And then the other part of that, whilst we have our own beliefs, and then we have collective beliefs, there's also this little thing called history. These are the three pieces that make up the story to our existence. And history, I'm using it as a way to banner the stories that already exist within the collective. So when we look at history, and it's funny because my opinion and viewpoint changes on this depending on where I'm at with the things that I learn and the things that I experience, the things that I believe. So I just now see it as a concept. So you think about when you go back to school, we learn about history. This is where we came from. This is where we evolved from. And then, of course, there's a different story if you come from religion. But when you start diving in and start looking at these things, you'll realize how things don't make sense. There's always a crack somewhere that you can crack into. But let's just look at history. History has given us so many different stories across geography, history, religion, emotions, experiences, all of these stories that we can grab hold of what had happened in the past, gives us a story to hold a belief in place. So if we look at history and we go back, I don't know, let's just look at witches and how the stories of witches were burned at the stake. Clearly that is something that doesn't happen now. Well, not that I'm aware of, not in my reality. So at some point, this was something that a group of people believed. There was an action that they took based on what they thought people believed. But over time, that had evolved into a place where that no longer happens. And, you know, conceptually on the surface, people just accept if people are a witch and people want to do their own things. We're definitely on a different scale of, oh my goodness, you practice witchcraft, oh, you get burned at the stake. We've evolved from that. But what does that show us? That story puts in place so many different things. It gives us a history and a belief in witches. It gives us a belief in the way that people used to respond, how they used to judge, how they used to use violence. It shows us our progression from a belief to a new belief. It shows us how we evolve from one idea to a new one. It shows us how we change. It shows us maybe the infrastructure that used to be around. So it gives us all this back end on multiple layers of giving us a story for us to attach our beliefs to. Because if we just looked at a story like that, we can say, okay, so people change. We can change our minds. We can change laws. We can change the way we view people. We can allow people to express themselves in the way that we want. We can also look at the buildings and how they punished other people, how they treated other humans, like burning them. We don't, that I know, do it anymore, but There's so many different layers of that gives us story or back-end history to allow our beliefs and our evolution towards new ones to come into effect. And you can look at any part of history, like even this painting over here from you know, Egypt, and thinking about hieroglyphics and how that was a story of how they used images before they used letters, and then they started using words. Everything is a progression. Even my painting up there, which is supposed to be the ocean but looks like the moon. Like if we dove into the moon story, how many different stories of that do we have now? It's all there to allow us to attach a belief to solidify or hold that thought or belief in place. And that's not just in history, that's in religion as well. Like if you even look at the whole idea of Jesus and what he represented, you would see the essence of how the teachings are just trying to teach you to be a good person, to make good decisions, to help other people. And all those messages in there are just like this elaborate construct to allow us to pull those pieces out that we can grab onto and go, Jesus said, love one another. Okay, I want to be a good person. I want to be nice to my fellow man. Great. You learned something from that story in order for you to hold a belief. That's how I see our history. And as complex as it is, it's not the only area that's complex. So all our beliefs, the story that holds everything in place, not just history, not just human evolution, not just structural change or how the environment progresses or our emotions, it's everything. Every single topic idea you can imagine. There are stories that will give you whatever you need to attach to in order to allow your belief to be true. Whether it is a new belief, whether it is an old belief, whether it is your belief, whether it is a collective belief, there is something for everyone on so many different levels. And all of this, because through my journey of this seeking and understanding, the more and more we open ourselves up to this, the more and more we see and understand that whole idea of us just being it. And this is a construct of our mind, and we are just reflecting different parts of this consciousness or existence on different levels, because all I'm seeing is proof that there's so many different sides, there's so many different stories to every single topic, every single idea, every single thought. I don't see just one idea or one path or one way. There are so many that it's infinite. But for every single topic, idea, thought, object, experience, place, and it's across everything from even the physical things that we experience in our 3D, as well as when you start going down that spiritual realm and you feel and hear and listen and understand and know all the stories of the starseeds or the collectives or the aliens or the sun or the dragons or whatever it is, there's also a story. But then there's also variations of the story. But all of it is still designed there for us to expand and to move towards the beliefs that we want to hold. And honestly, I think even though there are ones that have that truth and authenticity to who we are, they can change, they can grow. And I don't think we can choose a wrong one. We're just going to pick those different parts of us that are going to resonate with us. This is when I talk of codes. And I also think, even though we have specific codes that make us up, specific ideals or beliefs or drives towards things, there's some of those loose foundations, just like I'm doing this whole talking segment series, is these loose foundations. I think we have these loose foundations which build up this loose open-ended idea of who we are, but it can change and we can sort of move around and grow a little bit. So we can attach to new beliefs, we can bring in old ones, we can throw out new ones, and change or combine some old and new ones. We can constantly evolve, and I don't think it matters which ones we hold on to. My biggest thing is, though, knowing and understanding that there is more than one. The thing that I have the most difficulty with, and I understand that everyone sees and feels and experiences everything on their own, is not being open to the possibility of there being something else. That's the only thing I want people to be aware of, is open to the possibility that people can see things from different perspectives. You think about yourself as this 3D being. You are just on your own journey. Regardless of what else you believe, you are on your own journey to whatever you believe that journey is. And what happens along that journey, you visit different places, you experience different things. So you might travel along here and you end up here and you go, okay, this is nice, I'm going to stay here for a little while. Or this is really nice, I might stay here forever. But you still have to know that all around you, there's all these other places. Because when you leave that place, oh, now I'm over here. This is where you have new beliefs, new ideas, new thoughts. But all this other stuff still exists. And we continue along this journey, even though we may be sitting in this existence. We live in this place. This is what we're experiencing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're believing in. We still need to know and have an awareness that there's more out there. There's always more beyond what we know and what we believe in that moment. So once you can sit in that, once you can understand that, once you can believe in that, you can still sit and be solid in whatever you believe in that moment, but also be open and aware that there are so many more possibilities, that everyone else is living in a different place. They're all not living in that area that you are. The next segment is all about the heart. So we're talking about the male, female, desire, and love. Now, all of this is the center to it all. So stay tuned, watch out for that one.